Hey, Bernie supporters, your boy is about to bail on you again. Oh yeah, he is. Apparently, the deal with the Biden camp has already been struck. You just can't teach an old commie new tricks. Joe Biden, the walking, talking gaffe machine that is actually showing signs of dementia, early onset Alzheimer's, even some members, not all, but some members within the lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream propaganda media are starting to point out, hey, this guy's got some serious stuff going on here. He's at campaign events. He doesn't know what city or state he's in. The facts that he shares aren't relevant to the truth. So either he is just a liar or we got a problem. In fact, this week he said, details, they're irrelevant.
No, not judgment, but details. Because that's something I've heard from some voters, maybe not at your events, but details.
No, but the details are irrelevant in terms of decision making.
Can you imagine if President Donald Trump said, details are irrelevant? You know, it's amazing to me, the flaming double standard. Well, it's not, but it's just unbelievable, the load of hypocrisy that comes from the left, whether they be left from the media, left politically. But here is a guy who clearly is not competent to be president, and that would be Joe Biden. First of all, what has he ever actually done or accomplished? I know he's been in every great photo op when something big in history during his tenure in Congress, which has been like forever, wanting you to think that he had a major part, played a major role in whatever that was that happened, when really he's just a glad handler, a handshaker, can stand up in front of a crowd and really just sling a load of BS and tell a really good story, none of which are coherent to any relevant facts or truth for that matter. You know, he's Amtrak Joe, even though he's a multimillionaire because he, one, married into it, and second, his son was a crook, and he and the old man made some money with some backdoor China deals. Isn't that kind of interesting? Maybe that's the real reason he's against what President Trump is doing right now with the trade war on China. Maybe that's going to affect the Biden bottom line of his own personal financial matters. There would be something to investigate and look into, wouldn't it? That all said, Joe Biden's never actually really done anything, other than he's really got an knack for putting his foot in his mouth. But he shows up at campaign events, doesn't know where he is. He's constantly misrepresenting facts. And then he says in an NPR interview, well, details are irrelevant. Let's say this guy actually got himself elected president. Can you imagine him coming out and saying something like this to the American people? I want you to know, after tense negotiation that I've been involved with behind closed doors for the past 48 hours, we have an incredible nuclear deal now with India. I can promise you this. After the hundreds of billions of dollars that I have just given away to India on behalf of the United States, and all the concessions that I have made to India on behalf of the United States, we don't have to worry about India being a nuclear threat to us. I have done it. Donald Trump couldn't get this done. Even my boss, Barack, he couldn't get this done, but I did. Only to have like one of his advisors, one of his cabinet members lean over and say, Mr. President, you were supposed to be negotiating with Iran. Why were you negotiating with India? They're already an ally. Iran, India, both countries start with the letter I. Details are irrelevant. That's kind of what he's saying here. Now, either he is completely incompetent, or he's got a serious medical issue, like dementia, like early onset Alzheimer's. Bernie, the old commie, was asked by the gals on The View, hey, what's your take on this? Do you think that there's a double standard, that he can get away with saying things like details are irrelevant and continually getting details about stories that he tells wrong. They didn't happen. These people don't exist. Do you think that's a serious problem? And is it a double standard? Would we let Donald Trump get away with this? And Bernie immediately has to just run to the defense of Joe Biden while taking a shot at President Trump.
Would you criticize him for telling the same story?
Oh, for Trump is in another world altogether. I mean, Trump is a profound liar.
Yeah.
So I mean, and it's embarrassing to have to say this, you know, that what Trump says doesn't mean anything because he often just makes it up and it has nothing to do with reality. I don't think that is Joe Biden at all.
No.
Do you remember the last time Bernie Sanders ran for president and during a debate, he was asked about Hillary's emails? And he said something to the effect, I think I speak on behalf of all of the American people. We're tired of talking about the damn emails. Just stop. And everybody applauded, and Hillary smiled and applauded and looked at him and nodded to him. You Bernie people better figure out that the fix was on then. It was the dog and pony show. He was to come out, introduce a bunch of far left progressive ideas. Hillary would copy some of them. He would kind of then be the fall guy during the primary. And I know a lot of you were heartbroken. Not only that he got screwed and cheated by the DNC, he didn't get as screwed and cheated as you think he did. The fix was in. The payoff was there. The old commissar who tells all of us everything's got to be equal. Same medical insurance, same housing, same benefits, same everything. Everything equal. It's got to be the same. Except, did you notice that in places like Russia, under Soviet domination, the people who were high up within the government, you know, the ruling class, they live like kings, while the people continue to live like peasants in assigned government housing. And that's exactly the mindset of Bernie Sanders. He tells you, the people, the peasants, exactly what you want to hear. This whole democratic social thing. Yet at the same time, he had already hatched a plan, a deal with Hillary. He was going to be bought off and paid well for it. He's got 3 homes. Do you? He has resort-type homes. Do you? And yet he lectures us on everything from climate change to equality. And yet King Bernie had already struck the deal with Hillary Rodham Clinton. Got you guys all excited. They provided some entertainment, called the primary, and then in the end, it wasn't that he got screwed. It was he prostituted and pimped himself out on purpose. And he's doing it again. Notice he's defending Joe Biden. Oh, clearly when Joe does these things, it's unintentional. You know, Joe's just, he's a great guy. I love the guy. Donald Trump, he's nothing but a liar. You can't believe anything that he says. Really? Because the economy's rocking and rolling. China has to come back now to the negotiating table regarding the trade war that you guys are predicting is going to end America. It's going to end us. No, it's going to make us even greater. Because as I've been saying, and it's not being said much even in conservative media outlets, China needs us far more than we need $10 VCRs from Hong Kong or wherever those things are assembled. We have what China needs desperately. Food. And lots of it. You know, we actually pay farmers not to grow stuff. We actually pay rural landowners money not to grow things. I can tell you this firsthand. The church I pastor, we own some property. We're actually paid by the government not to do anything agriculturally with it. Now, right now, we can't even build on it. This happened before I got here. They had signed themselves into a land contract with the government. But not only can we not build on it, this was the real caveat. We can't grow anything on it either. For years, apparently, the church had leased it out to local farmers. You know, they grew things on it, whether it was to feed their own cattle or sell. And then they got themselves locked into this deal with the government. Stop growing things on it. So here, we have so much food and so much in abundance. We pay farmers to sometimes just throw it away. We pay farmers not to do things with their land. And so China needs our food. They desperately need our corn and our pork. So China is going to negotiate, and we are going to win this thing. It's a long game, and I know we have very short attention spans, and we want immediate satisfaction. But on the long game, Trump has got this, and we're going to win this. That all said, Bernie wants there to be a recession. And I know the Democrats had to be heartbroken, as well as a lot of never-Trumpers and the whole Wall Street gang. I'm talking about like the Wall Street Journal gang and all the Mitt Romneys. When the Fed chairman came out yesterday and said, no, there's no signs of recession coming. In fact, the economy's getting even stronger. But Donald Trump is the one we're supposed to believe is crazy. Donald Trump is the one we're supposed to believe is a liar, never tells the truth. Donald Trump, in 2 years in office, has quadrupled growth and jobs and virtually wiped out unemployment, far beyond anything that George W. Bush or Barackmus Obama, the alleged POTUS 44, ever dreamed of doing in their wildest wet dream fantasy. So we have to keep now trying to portray Donald Trump as crazy. But as Bernie bails out Biden, Joe Biden's a great guy. Now, we disagree on some policy issues, but Biden's a good guy. See, understand what the media is doing right now? They see the seriousness, the problem that is Joe Biden. Not just the gaffes, but that he's losing it, literally. The fix is already in. The DNC wants Uncle Joe, the sniffer. They want him. He's going to be the guy. The media's in on it. So now they're starting to talk about his gaffes. Should we be concerned about this? And here comes Bernie, like he did with Hillary's emails. Here comes Bernie saying, no. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about that at all. I'm telling you, Joe's a good guy. He's already cut the deal. Like he did with Hillary, he's already cut the deal. He's going to end up with 3 more houses, some more money, and he'll travel and campaign for Joe. The deal's already been cut. And why does the establishment want Joe Biden? Simple. He's a boob and a buffoon. He doesn't think. They want somebody back in that Oval Office that's a puppet. They don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican. Remember, the oligarch, the deep state, they're not about political ideology. They're about globalism. They're about themselves, the oligarch, the ruling class, being in control over you. That's why everything is entertainment-driven. Amusement. Amuse is the opposite of thinking. They don't want a thinking population. A thinking population is harder to control. It's why they keep creating crisis where you are demanding, get rid of the guns, get rid of the guns, get rid of the guns. Because, after all, can't have the citizenry armed, you might defend yourselves. So they create crises, and they get you to just hand over your freedom. Our founding fathers warned us. There was the potential, even in the structure of government they created. Do not trade your liberty for temporary, manufactured, phony security. So all these crises they create, and then of course they have the immediate solution, is all designed to dumb you down, get you comfortable, let you be spoon-fed by them, so that you line up like lemmings. Thank you, sir, may I have another? And the establishment wants Joe. Because they don't want somebody in the Oval Office who actually thinks he's the president, who actually can do the job. The reason they hate Donald Trump is not because he's orange, has funny hair, he's never given any sign that he's a homophobe, a xenophobe, whatever. The reason they create and say all that about him, what makes him dangerous, is he really is for the people, by the people. Returning power to you. And the deep state can't have that. That all said, the fix is in. Bernie is as much of a puppet and a player in all this. Get you Bernie supporters all ramped up. We're going to have socialism and progressive ideas, and they'll give you some of that. Because again, the oligarch on the left and right side of the aisle, Republican, Democrat, they don't care about, they have no core true convictions when it comes to things of morality and right and wrong. They want that power and that control. So Bernie, he'll help us get there. And if we got to throw the peasants a few crumbs to get them, that's fine. That's okay. So you're going to get some of your far progressive stuff under a Bernie, or I'm sorry, under a Biden. But if a Joe Biden became president, he would never actually be the president. The oligarch, the puppet masters behind him, would be. Now, how can Bernie defend Joe Biden on these so-called gaffes? Oh, these don't mean anything. Case in point, let's talk about the war record. In the NPR interview, Joe Biden said, "Yes, I voted for the war, but only because Bush lied to me about the details."
I got a commitment from President Bush. He was not going to go to war in Iraq. He looked me in the eye in the Oval Office. He said he needed the vote to be able to get inspectors into Iraq to determine whether or not Saddam Hussein was engaged in dealing with a nuclear program. He got them in, and before we know, we had shock and awe. Immediately, the moment it started, I came out against the war at that moment.
Uh-oh. Now, he says that as soon as we went into shock and awe, I was immediately against the war. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. You rallied all the Democrats and liberals together. We got to stick behind this president. He's got the plan. We got to win this thing. And this was months after the Iraq war began.
Some of my own party have said that it was a mistake to go to Iraq in the first place, and believe that it's not worth the cost, whatever benefit may flow from our engagement in Iraq. But the cost of not acting against Saddam, I think, would have been much greater. And so is the cost, and so will be the cost, of not finishing this job. The President of the United States is a bold leader, and he is popular. The stakes are high, and the need for leadership is great.
Ah, those pesky little details. You know, things like timelines and when you've actually said things. I was against the war as soon as it started. No, you weren't. No, you weren't. And the reason that Crazy Bernie is supporting you and defending you and bailing you out, the deal has already been struck, my comrades. I'm going to do very financially well to this, and Joe's our man. Oh, we're going to pretend a little bit more and give you some entertainment during the primary, but I've already sold out. It's already a done deal. Get ready, Joe Biden will be your nominee. And for all of the Democratic pundits and talking heads out there that keep saying Joe Biden will never be our nominee, Joe Biden will never be our nominee, remember all the so-called expert Republican observers and commentators and pollsters. Donald Trump will never be the nominee. It's already been decided. It's going to be Joe going up head-to-head with Donald Trump. Get ready, left. Here it comes. Hey, that's it for this rant. Thank you so much for tuning our way. Give us a thumbs up and a like. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. If you have subscribed to the channel, thank you. And make sure you smack the bell for my next rant.